Hello everyone, and we are back on the Cold Place map with Lopotka versus Arandi. Arandi being the number one 1v1 player in Bar. Let's see how Lopotka will do versus him. Now, we see a somewhat difference in start position here, as we see Lopotka on this bottom corner going here instead. Now, this is different. Most times we've seen this map so far, we've seen all players that tend to spawn where Arandi has done, in this double mech spot here. The reason for that is you can contest this area of the north and this middle section up here. And that means that, you know, you're defending this side and then a lot of flanking fights go off down the bottom. Now, with Lopotka starting where they have, is that it opens up a completely different avenue that we haven't seen on this map before. Arandi now has complete control, in essence, of this top corner of the triangle. But Lopotka here has contestation over some pretty high-value mechs areas. And because Lopotka gets a straight shot down the bottom here, I'm wondering if he's going to just push for Arandi's corner and then hold this bottom point. This also gives a very good opportunity for the use of Amphibious against Lopotka though, with his base being right here on the coast. If Arandi decides to use Amphibious, he can come right up on Lopotka's base and basically do substantial amount of damage. So, be interesting to see. Now, one thing we did note from the last game where we saw Lopotka in is that the one thing he struggled with was the use of his metal. We saw him quite often excessing in metal, even though he had really good ideas on using the naval on the last map to build a load of titles and such. But he just wasn't able to use the metal that he made. So let's see if he's able to do something with that this time around, if he's learned his lesson. And as you can see, this was currently filmed near Halloween, as Lopotka here has a funky Halloween mask on. And we see that Arandi in the blue here is a Vortex player with a vehicle factory. Now, this is going to limit his movement options. And we see Lopotka with a bot lab. This does open up more avenues for him on this map. Arandi with some great micro here, managing to get that metal extractor and not losing the scout at all. So very well played there. A very early construction turret here from Lopotka. And just walking forward, actually ignoring the metal extractor that he's lost. Maybe he plans on building a res bot to just resurrect it. And not queued as of yet. Now, because of the size of this map, it does take a little while before we get much in the way of action. And this scout is probably going to easily get, another metal extractor. It's kind of why you need to protect your metal extractors, build some LLTs, or at least have some units to defend. Currently, Lopotka has nothing to defend except this one grunt. It's a bit late at that point. But we do see Lopotka here pushing with majority of his forces and his commander along the bottom of this map here. Going to try and take this position here, fortify that because of the quantity of metal extractors there, and then with that he'll be able to use his bots to go along the hills into the back of Arandi's base. Now, with Arandi being vehicle, he is stuck to the lower ground, so we'll see if Lopotka's able to pull it off. At the moment, Lopotka's still not able to use the entirety of his metal. And can we reclaim the penguins? No. That's a shame. That would be some, hopefully some useful metal there. As we zoom back out, we do see the start production of some armed exploiters here. Now, these are pretty good. Although we did see Arandi build them a little while ago on the map versus Dolphy, I believe it was. and unfortunately they weren't really able to do much. They got killed pretty easily versus like a sizable force of incisors. I think like 4 or 5 incisors were able to kill one of those armed metal extractors without losing too much. But against bots, kind of a bit of a different story. And unfortunately, Lapotka here not really able to get the position that he was hoping for. Vehicles are quicker, bear in mind, so vehicles are going to be able to get to whichever side a lot quicker than the bot. Now, one thing we are seeing here is that Lapotka being very, very greedy. He only has a total of about 5 combat units on the field in its entirety, and Andy has 5 just on the bottom. Sorry, he has 6. He's got 5 grunts, a grunt there, so 8 total. Yeah, I feel like he should have some more, considering they cost a lot less. And Andy already knows about the grunt, and he's already built laser towers to defend against those sorts of attacks. And now Lapotka completely not able to use those grunts for basically anything. So there goes that. These armed exploiters are going to slow down any push on the north side, giving Andy a substantial advantage. And Lapotka really not doing much right now. He has, though, surprisingly, transitioned to vehicles. And is pushing brutes north and keeping grunts along the bottom. Interesting choice to go for 2 factories rather than just pushing more on the single one. Now this is maybe the reason why we saw Lapotka go down here. The geothermal energy plant. The only geothermal on this map is in that position. We can see here, oh, there's one at the top. So there's one here, and one where he is building. Now these don't often get built, and we did see in the Dolphy 2v2, I think it was, on this map, we saw a Cerberus, which is a geothermal artillery battery, actually built on the north section. And it was quite decisive and actually forced the other player back into his base. So, the question is that what's going to get built up there now? Or is someone actually just going to build, is Andy going to build like just the geothermal there, or is it not going to bother? Surprisingly, geothermals don't get built as often as you would hope. And Lapotka is definitely managing his economy a lot better right now. Energy and metal are in good spot where you haven't used it all and you haven't just leaving it to overflow. Good attack here from Lapotka, swiping up all the incisors that were on the north except for that one. A grunt push going over the hill though will cause a little bit of anger to Andy, as he's going to have to hold some forces back to deal with that. Meanwhile on the bottom, not really much going on, surprisingly. The forces that Andy had at the bottom are being pulled back to be replaced by brutes. Lapotka just slowly moving forward here, and we can come off this resource screen now. Now, what this does do, although he's not really going to be able to do much with this push, it is going to force these units to stay back here, at least for a while. We do see here Andy just doing something that will pretty much deal with the issue, and that's just build a bunch of shurikens. You could just permanently stun these units up here and then don't have to worry about them at all. Now the first push for the commander on the south. Brutes doing their damage against these armed exploiters. There are more brutes down there of Andy's though. Pretty even on the brute side, but grunt will have an impact on that. Let's say the radar just being left alone. And yep, there we go. These grunts getting EMP pretty quickly here. Get a single mech for their troubles. Not really going to cause too much of a problem, I don't think. Surprisingly though, incisors are pretty good at dealing with shurikens. You have more incisors than shurikens. They're 100% like hit laser, pretty much guarantees that they will eventually win. They don't get attacked, as we saw in the Taku, it was Taku and Teddy game on Acidus Crack, I think the map was called. And oh wow, we're seeing Tech 2 already being built here from Lopotka. As we switch over to our Andy, no Tech 2 yet. This could be big. Question is, what does Lopotka plan? Now, with air in the mix here, this is going to cause some issues because you can't just rush a bunch of tanks. And actually, those shurikens get mopped up fairly quickly if they fly into those air defenses. So he knows he can't use them on the attack. He can only use them on defense. We actually see him push them now right to the bottom, hoping that he doesn't have any air defense down here either, which the Lopotka does, meaning that the shurikens, unfortunately, are now more of a defensive tool than an offensive tool. Which is fine. Kind of pushes it towards a stalemate, which at this point I would argue that Lopotka has the advantage in terms of map control here, with more sides of the triangle under Lopotka's control. Oh, a very, very forward Tech 2 factory here from our Andy. Now, that is substantial. Oh, where is this zapping? Oh, there. This one shuriken managed to get behind. Interesting. This is substantial because it's very close to Lopotka's commander. And all it takes is a couple of banishes, which is, you know, Ragnar's and R&D's favourite units out of the core tier 2 vehicles to basically clear up this chunk here of units pretty quickly. And there's not much he's going to be able to do about it. They are very expensive though. 23,000 energy, 1,000 metal, as opposed to literally less than half the cost of energy for the Tigers. Metal cost just over half though, but both of these players are completely fine on energy right now. It is always the metal that is the issue. But Tech 2 economy is going up for Lopotka. Obviously R&D here with no Tech 2 economy yet. Artillery truck get dealt with pretty easy here. We did see someone actually the other day ask on the comments, why not just build a couple of artillery and F-move them towards the flank? Well, we actually just saw Lopotka try that there. Unfortunately, on this sort of map at least, not practical because of the way that this map is located, but technically is practical on other maps. I can't remember which one we saw it now, but we did see someone attempt that with a rocket bot on one of the maps. I think it was on a comet catcher recently. And it did work. It did force the enemy to move forces to that location to deal with it. Interesting, the vehicle factory being built here just purely for the res bot. And a bit of a fighter swarm going up as well. Now, clearly Arandi's expecting a bombing run from Lopotka here. But apparently not a single aircraft plant to be seen in Lopotka's base. The reclaim of the bot lab hasn't happened, which is surprising. Potential, you know, good chunk of metal there to be had if he wanted it. 620 metal. Still no Tech 2 in his main base. But the Tsar comes out. Now it's interesting because I never really thought that the Tsars were very good. And yet, saying that, all of the pros seem to be building them, so they must be somewhat good, because of that very reason. They are super tanky. 5,000 health, and this may be a big mistake from Lopotka, as he had to go in on the start, but look at the sheer amount of brutes that our Andy has as opposed to Lopotka. The static defense does slow this push down, and surprisingly Lopotka manages to hold off that attack, decides to go on the offensive versus that many. Now that is an interesting move. Those are all going to get mopped up now. Now that artillery platform will cause a bit of harassment, but if he loses all his units, he's just going to get pushed on. Quaker mobile artilleries will cause a little bit of problem, but not really too much. See, surprising, you don't really see Tech 2 artillery built from this factory. So it's interesting to see some of that. These bots are a bit far forward and are going to get blasted very quickly. And dead. Oh, almost dead. Still not a single banisher being built. Potka on the losing end here of units. Be very careful. Need some res bots down here, that's what he needs. Did he reclaim that bot lab? I don't think he did. And there goes the agitator. Only 2 tigers left to defend the Potka. Potka now having to fall back. He knows that this front line is lost. Does not have the forces to support it. And that is going to give our Andy 8.2k metal. Potka can't leave that there. He needs to push units down there, or at least cause Randy to have to, you know, react elsewhere. No res bots being built at all from the bot lab. Surprising. He's got the metal spare at the moment. No point having the metal if you're not going to use it unless he's planning on using it for something else. Managing to mop up a single tiger there. Good swiping attack here. Does lose both those artilleries, and those tigers are going to get mopped up unless he's paying attention. Which he isn't, because of this. Push on the north does do significant damage, but not enough to make an impact. And this was Lopotka's attempt at trying to force our Andy's attention elsewhere. And the risk for our Andy of building that T2 lab so far forward has paid off. Being able to push out so many Tech 2 units right at the front line is significant. And by having to move his forces both top and bottom, it is causing Lopotka to have less units where he needs them. Our Andy now, you can see, starting to reclaim. The amount of metal that he's got is huge right now. Same going on at the bottom. Lopotka trying to get some of that reclaim, but there's no way that engineer is going to get anywhere near without just getting annihilated. And the amount of Quakers here doing a great job, 22 of them. What I am surprised at is we're not seeing, I don't know, like a radar jammer and something like that, just to stop these artillery doing the job. Now, I did briefly see something there in Lopotka's base, which is why he's got so much metal, which we'll go to in just a second. Lopotka trying to get to the back line here of these artillery, but with the amount of tigers coming out so quickly, I don't think he's going to be able to kill many of them before all of his units get mopped up, just donated even more metal, unfortunately. Meanwhile, push going on at the top here, just trying to get round, trying to get some economy damage. Isn't going to really do anything. Especially now we see on the map that some shurikens have got through there. And, yeah, those forces continue to get cleaned up there. But Lopotka going tier 3. Now this will be something that our Andy isn't expecting. He will maybe wonder why there's a big lack of units all of a sudden, which may force him to build one of his own. Still no tech 3 or see much more of a spread out T2 economy at all for our Andy, and I would like to get that quickly. We can see Lopotka here with a substantial metal advantage of almost 10k. Energy produced goes to our Andy at this point. Energy excess, Lopotka's got a substantial amount of wasted energy, which is not good. But with Tech 3 now coming out from Lopotka, he needs more build power actually, with the amount of metal he's still got left over after building all these. Yeah, he needs more build power. Shivas though, coming out, he's starting to hit the front line. Now Shivas are good, but they're not good at the same time. As you can see, look how quickly they are dying. And all he did was kill one tiger. I want to love Shivas, I do, but I don't know. They just don't do enough. They're not strong enough. They're tier 3, and yet look, this one's just getting absolutely destroyed by the blooming artillery before it even got close. I know that Cortex is entry level 1, but still, for 1,500 metal, you'd expect a bit more. To be fair though, Azar is probably more tanky, and it only costs a little bit more metal. Now, we did see our Andy there building his own Tech 3. And we'll probably just see counter Shivas being built. Now, all it takes though from our Andy is one Shiva. One Shiva to enter the water, move along here, and just pop up to say hello in Lopotka's base. And that's it. Lopotka will be out. To be fair though, Lopotka just kind of needs to do the same thing and get rid of this tier 2 factory and the tech 3 factory, and that's this front line completely changed. It does surprise me that we don't see more use of the water made on this map. Shiva's just walking to their doom in front of all these tigers. But the splash damage from the shot does take out quite a few tigers. Still not quite as much damage as you were hoping for. See, the Shiva not even able to kill any of those tigers. Oh, interesting. Krakenaps. Yeah, again, you don't see these built very often at all, but look at it. Absolutely destroying that Shiva. Now, cost-wise, they are more expensive than Shivas by like 1,000 metal and twice the energy use. But our Andy can afford it. And surprisingly, we see Lopotka now deciding to do the same thing. Just one Shiva in the water. All I ask. One Shiva. This top push here just gets completely destroyed by the leftover shurikens here. Unfortunately, Lopotka's attention is purely on the south side. And these units will now just slowly get killed, which is disappointing. That's all it took was a bunch of shurikens. Reservoirs are on the south, getting some reclaim for Lopotka, so that's good. Now, I'm hoping Lopotka plays to the end on this one. Well, the last one, unfortunately, kind of gave up a bit early, so we can hope that for a bit more. Now, fortunately, the amount of Reclaim on our Andy's side, 6.1k, is substantial. You would think that 6 Shivas and a Kraganath would win versus 3 Kraganaths, but who knows? Who knows? Lepotka's slowly losing space though. With our Andy slowly moving forward, getting some additional mexes. Lepotka was up to here at one point and has been pushed right back. And on the bottom side, obviously, Lepotka was here and got pushed about half of the bottom way back. It's not good. Now, these Kraganaths can also go over the hills, which I don't know if that's his plan, but the hell's going on there? Are they trying to shoot down the rocket? No, they're trying to shoot the pop-up turrets, but the pop-up turrets were not popped up and therefore were just completely missing. Interesting. I did actually notice that fairly recently in a game I was playing where we were trying to shoot a pop-up turret with artillery or something like that. Shot will just go straight over. Devs, if you want to let me know whether that's a bug or intended, that would be great. Oh, here we go. A cataphract. A single cataphract. But it's hover, so therefore they're going to see it coming. And it's very slow. And unfortunately he has no like fighters, so it's going to probably just get EMP'd. Now this is a cool looking like tech free though, so pretty good though. Our Andy has spotted it, definitely. We just saw his mouse there briefly over it. And again, we got a bit of a stalemate here. Mixture of Shivas and Kraganaths on the south side here, and a Doomsday weapon planning to be built by our Andy to even more stagnate this bottom side. Shiva's missiles are pretty good at getting some long range harass, but the missiles are what do the most damage, I feel, for Shivas, which, because their travel time is so long, not quite ideal. Unfortunately, Lepotka looking like he's having to take this engagement. Doesn't want to lose 4 Tech 2 engineers. He is actually somewhat on the winning side here, maybe? Nope, ignore that. Maybe not. Falling back to the Stabbot Towers, which are actually doing a fairly good job at dealing with the Shiva as soon as it gets into range. Bad to lose a Kraganath though. And finally those Quakers get destroyed. And I would say that Lepotka maybe won that. And yet, as predicted, yeah, Cataphract completely useless without any form of air defense. Too far for it to travel in order for it to make any sort of dent. And with no air support at all, yeah. This is why I suggested hitting down here instead. Because if he's hit down here instead, it's closer to his other forces and he could make maybe some form of pincer move. Oh, we do see a catapult. Don't see those very often either. This is going to push the long-term, long-range game at least in our Andy's favour, and the Doomsday weapon now being built. This is going to help our Andy hold this position even more. And this Cataphract's just going to get slowly reclaimed to death, I would guess. Yeah. Oh, or not. Some Tech 2 gunship on the case. Deal with that pretty quickly. And we do see the start of some banishes being pulled out now. Now, I have a feeling the Lepotka's probably trying to feel like, what can I do? Oh, the catapult's doing so much damage. And fortunately, at this point, you kind of need to see Lopotka make a play of some sort. Maybe 2 of these Shivas here. Rather than sending them front, pull back a bit, move through the water, and even come at them from the side. Like, force them out of the defensive line and then move in from the water line at the same time. And move from the water and around the bottom as well. And then get your flanking damage on the tech 3 that's there. That way you catch him by surprise. He has no vision in the water. He has no coverage at all, no sonar. So that would be a surprise move. And that may just be enough to break this defensive position. Also, grouping up your units here when you've got ranged artillery, bearing down you. Also, not a good play, but it's a mistake. Very easy mistake to make. Now, shields are not going to help here either. Lopotka cannot build shields, not going to do anything. Ooh, a dragon out from our Andy as well. No air defense on this north side, no fighters at all either. Which is going to mean that this dragon is able to just plow through this side here with no opposition at all. But the artillery of these catapults slowly whittling down the tech 3 of Lopotka. No respite here for Lopotka on the south side as these units just keep getting pounded to death. Losing one after another, but not actually able to do any damage. Building very forward flak cannon there, not good at all. And that flak, unfortunately, not going to do enough to deal with the dragon at all. With a second one now here as well. Lopotka knows now that this is it. He kind of needs to just do something. These dragons are just going to whittle you down. Did he make what looks to be one final push? As the tech 3 fight against each other, Lopotka bows out, knows that there is nothing more for him to do. Well played, both players. Again, no use of the water, unfortunately. Could have been a deciding factor, but he needed his units elsewhere. Well played, both guys, and thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.